Ceazor. Today is January 16th, 2026. I will start this off with a little disclosure that this is not financial advice. This is all biased opinions about the news that I am seeing today. Now, before I get into it, I do want to say that, my For You is pretty bad now. Like, there's some crypto stuff in here, a lot of political stuff, a lot of stuff about politics and so forth. So I've been using following to kind of gather things to talk about. And basically what I would like you to do, if you are listening to this, can you suggest me some other people in crypto Twitter that I should follow, that perhaps I don't follow. Tag 2 or 3 people and I will follow them regardless of who they are. I won't do much research. And then, later if I find them to be distasteful, in my opinion, I will unfollow them and so forth. Okay, so let's moving on and let's get through these tweets. I have quite a few for you today. And again, at the top of my list is Jordy. Jordy came out with something that kind of caught my eye, and I've always liked it. So he says, Frax Finance is waking up. Something very interesting is happening at Frax Finance. And you can read through all of his post and his talk about what's going on. Frax Finance has been a long time favorite of mine. I've always enjoyed their product. They've done a bit of pivoting, and currently right now they're building something called FraxNet, and they have the Fraxtal blockchain. So you can bridge stuff to Fraxtal, and then you can also bridge stuff back. And yesterday I was kind of testing the bridge. I didn't actually bridge anything, but I was kind of looking at it and testing it. And before, they had a problem of you weren't able to really bridge back very quickly. So you could bridge in instantaneously, like within like a minute or so, but you couldn't bridge out within a minute. But I was talking to someone and I was testing something, and he told me that it's now live that you can bridge assets back from Fraxtal like in minutes. Like, it doesn't take 7 days anymore. So that's very nice. That was probably the biggest thing I didn't like about the Fraxtal blockchain. You gain some points for using the Fraxtal blockchain. So if you do deposit assets there and put them to work and basically pay gas, you get Fraxtal points. What will Fraxtal points become? They'll become tokenized somehow, but what value, what sort of thing, I have no idea. Do some due diligence. However, the thing that Fraxtal has pivoted to that I really like is they're really trying hard to become like a regulated stablecoin system. So the banks can interact with DeFi via the Fraxtal system, the FraxNet and the Fraxtal blockchain. So you can basically take your assets in your JP Morgan bank or something like that, and without selling them, without liquidating them, you can basically mint tokens on Fraxtal through the FraxNet. Now, of course, do some more research on that to find out exactly what that means. But I do think that like Fraxtal is one of the ones that I really hope, I'm really hoping for. I want to get rich off of my points, basically, if for lack of a better word. So check it out and so forth. You can check out Jordy's tweet here. He's really good at like kind of sharing some exact data of his analysis and his ideas and stuff like that. So I would suggest you to read through this and kind of figure out what does he have to say, and then obviously go to the Fraxtal's official Twitters and stuff like that and find out what they are saying. Okay, so next one here we have an article from Dr. DeFi, and he says toxic coordination is not free speech, it's growth risk. So he's basically, you can read through this article, but the idea is that like Sonic has kind of started to wake back up. Like they went through a really bad time, and the price chart clearly shows it. A lot of people got angry. A lot of people are angry with Sonic. They sold their bags. The people who held their bags are way down. The people who bought bags are super angry, right? Because it's way down on, it's like, I think it's like 8 cents, and it was like 80 cents when it first launched. So it's quite bad, but that's just the price, right? But the tech is awesome. The community is what's kind of hurting. The tech is awesome, and the vision of the team, I always like it. Now, I'm biased. I have quite a bit of Sonic tokens, and I hope they pump, right? But I do believe in the ecosystem and the vision of the ecosystem. So his thing here is talking about like the difference between criticism and just basically toxic reply guys. And there's a lot of this kind of stuff that happens. Like you never know. Like you never know if there's another blockchain who's paying people to basically target another blockchain with FUD and discontent and just hate speech and stuff like this, whatever you want to call it, right? And it kind of happens everywhere. Like it's kind of like corporate espionage. And like, is it really a bad, like, of course, like, when you go to politicians, they badmouth each other, they share each other, they air each other's dirty laundry, they pull each other's skeletons out of the closet, and they just keep showing it and showing it and showing it. And that's how like politics work for election processes. But should we allow that to kind of happen and in our investment like assessments and so forth? So you can read through his thing and kind of understand what he's talking about a little bit more. I like his ideas here, and I do think like I'm kind of like an idealist. I wish people would, if you've got like nothing nice to say, then say nothing at all. However, business is business, so I kind of understand why projects might like FUD other projects, because if I FUD them, then their money, their clients will come to me, and so like their liquidity will come and I will get more fees and stuff. So I understand why these things happen. I agree with Dr. DeFi that I don't like that they happen. And so you can read his article. I like it. It's pretty short and straight to the point and so forth, but I kind of agree with it. Okay, the next one here, we have a tweet by Beefy Finance. It's basically AUSD is live on Beefy. They spelled Beefy wrong. That's great. Live on Beatty. So this is one of these assets that I've yet to look at, and I should probably put it on my radar and find out whether or not this is something that needs an explanation video. So yeah, you can check this out. Like the only reason why I'm sharing it is because it's like AUSD is live on Beefy, but it's also now live on Kraken, and this is a stable coin. And if Kraken has like accepted this AUSD as a legitimate stable coin to put on Kraken, then it's probably something that I need to understand a little bit more. So I'm going to take a look at AUSD and find out what it actually is, and see how, see if there's something there for me, or whether or not it needs like a snack sandwich video. That's it. So let's moving on to the next one. Here we have Cloded and Millie kind of having a conversation. Basically Cloded replying to Millie. Both of these people I like. Clouted is one of the team members of ETH Strategy, which is a project I really, really like. I think it's super cool. It's like basically an ETH DAT, but on chain, and they've built some really cool stuff. So I will always be, whenever they build new stuff, I'm going to make videos. I've got videos on both of their products. You can check out those videos to get a deeper understanding on what those products do. So Millie says, has anyone considered a stablecoin bond instrument that is backed by ETH staking rewards? And then he goes on to talk a little bit more. And then Clouted replies, we made a bond that pays better yield off of ETH volatility. It's called ETH Strategy. Our bond, ETH Strategy's perpetual note, ESPN, is paying about 19% annualized returns for months now. Yeah, it's good stuff. I have a video if you want to have a deeper understanding, but basically a little TLDR is people are lending stable coins to ETH Strategy for like as a bond. Those assets are then taken and used to lever up ETH and farm ETH volatility with options and stuff. Watch the video if you want to know exactly how it works. I can't really explain it in a minute or two and so forth. And I forgot to set my timer today, so I don't know how long this is going to take, and let's kind of moving on. So next we have a ETH research bot has shared a Vitalik article. And let's kind of go through what the highlights are and the Eli 5 of this. This is going to be me reading out loud. So let's kind of go through this. And it's one of the things that I've kind of I kind of, it was a narrative a little while ago, and it kind of faded, and I'm kind of hoping that this is Vitalik's reviving this idea. So highlights: based rollups allow for synchronized composability, meaning transactions can interact with L1 and L2 liquidity seamlessly. So based rollups, I'm sure people who are listening to my podcast know what they are, and so forth, but I hope that they're kind of getting revived and going to be used a little bit more. Sequenced rollups can achieve lower latency compared to ETH's main layer, making them faster for certain transactions. Okay, we know this. The proposed design combines both rollup types, but requires that the L2s can revert transactions if the L1 reverts, assuring consistency. There are specific types of blocks in this design: regular sequenced blocks, slot ending sequenced blocks, and base blocks, each with different validation requirements. And the design does not fully support permissionless transactions, since building a based block requires a certificate from a sequenced block, suggesting a need for a forced inclusion mechanism. Wow. So yeah, that's a little bit of a mouthful. You can get in there and kind of read through his article if you want to. And there is an Eli 5 here, so let's read that out loud and see what it says. Okay, so this research discusses two types of rollups used in the blockchain technology: based rollups, which follow the order of transactions on the main blockchain, L1, and sequenced rollups, which use off-chain method to determine transaction order. The paper proposes a way to combine these two types and improve transaction speed while maintaining the ability to interact with both L1 and L2 liquidity. So yeah, I'm always happy to see that like Vitalik is still out there, still working hard, still building, still like doing his research, still sharing it, and so forth. So yeah, that's great. Let's moving on. Here we have another post by Millie Lama on the Brink, and I'm gonna read this and then give you some of my ideas. Okay, so first thing, I really think crypto needs a consolidated online virtual museum documenting all the batshit insane crazy things that have happened since the Genesis Bitcoin block. In fact, the virtual museum should be embedded on-chain with virtual online on-chain tours. Who's building this? I think it's a pretty cool idea. I do think that it would be nice to have a consolidated central location for like the history of blockchain stuff. However, there's just so much and so much information. Like it would be in massive, like if you were to build this in the real world and kind of just put like select like images and to hang on the wall that kind of illustrate just basically what things that have happened, it would be pretty massive. But is it larger than human history? No, and that's what we do already with all of human history in different kinds of museums. So maybe there is a possibility of something like this, and I do wonder, selfishly, would I be included at all in this kind of a museum? I would hope so, with like some of the stuff I've produced, which is for the most part all been like pretty open source and so forth. Okay, so moving on. Here we have DeFi Investor. He's sharing his top airdrop farms of 2026. This is a long article and he goes into every little detail of, I think he's got about five different projects that he thinks are possible airdrop farms. One of the things that I think about, and I've always had this idea, is that I don't like to farm airdrops unless the farming of that airdrop is already an acceptable APR. So I've said this many times. There are several, I can give you examples. When I farmed the Sonic airdrop, I was getting good APR on all of my positions and farming the Sonic airdrop at the same time. I talked about Frax today in Fraxtal Network. I'm farming a Frax airdrop in the way of these Fraxtal points, and all the time I'm on Fraxtal doing things that are getting me APRs. So I getting a decent acceptable APR on my assets already, and the airdrop is bonus. So I haven't read through his article, but I would kind of suggest you to think about that. Like, don't let the projects farm you so you can get an airdrop, because if you're putting assets somewhere and you're not making money on those assets and you're just farming points, basically what you're doing is you're giving them $1 million and you're getting like $500,000 worth of airdrop. Like, that doesn't make sense, because you're giving them all the fees, and then they're going to collect all those fees and take some of them and use those to provide liquidity to the airdrop. So unless you're getting a decent APR, I would stay away from them. Now, that's kind of my mentality. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, you would make more money if you farm airdrops like crazy, and that especially ones that are not being farmed by a lot of people, or by, teams that are not going to try to spread those tokens across massive amounts of people and so forth. So anyhow, you do you, but this is kind of how I think about airdrops. This is a pretty good article. He's done his homework. I haven't heard of any of the projects he's talking about except Polymarket. So Polymarket's a pretty good example. It doesn't have a token, but if you're already betting on Polymarket, then it's a good idea. It's the same as like the Hyperliquid airdrop. Like, the Hyperliquid airdrop was pretty big, but I wouldn't be, going to one of these perp dexes and just randomly, hopefully trading coins, just trying to farm points. Unless you're a good trader, you shouldn't be trying to trade on, Hyperliquid just to get an airdrop and points, if that makes sense. Moving on, here we have, what is this? Entropy Advisors. They've done a long tweet on Arbitrum, and it says, like, how does Arbitrum generate $2 million in interest from the Dow Treasury? I don't know if that's annual or if that's monthly. Perhaps it's annual return. I'm not sure. So he goes through and he kind of talks about how Arbitrum is kind of growing their treasury with different kinds of positions and stuff like that. So this is kind of the thing that, and they tag a shit ton of all the protocols that they're using and supporting on their chain. So it's kind of like a win-win. So any ecosystem, any chain that has a treasury and is not farming on their chain is immediately suspicious. Okay, you have to, like, it's part of the game. If you're going to run a chain, you had better provide your treasury assets on chain as liquidity. Now, like, if you don't know how to do it without losing your money, then you have in my opinion, you have no right to even open a chain. Like, you had better know how DeFi works and how to use it and how not to get wrecked by it. Like, of course, you have to hedge your risk and not put all your assets in one place and stuff like this. But that's how a chain supports the ecosystem, by helping farm. Now, I'm not saying they should be farming and dumping all the governance tokens, but they should understand how these systems work. Like for example, there are a lot of VE33 dexes out and about, and almost every chain has one. And I believe the foundations of those chains should be farming those tokens and locking them and building up an NFT and supporting those teams in that way. Not simply just going out and buying the tokens, but actually farming them and providing liquidity to those projects and stuff. Of course, they have to select them correctly. There are rugs. There are not really exploits is not the key thing here. There are rugs. There are teams that actually literally rug, and they can just pull their, like, you understand what a rug is. So they have to avoid those, and by doing, provide due diligence, do background checks, dox the entire team, and make sure you have legal recourse if they do rug. Okay, so anyhow, Arbitrum's successfully been doing this for quite some time, providing assets to all kinds of different projects on their chain, and that's fantastic. Okay, so you can read this thread and see what kind of details he provides. Okay, moving on, we have this is the topic of the day, the news of the day. Nikita, everyone knows Nikita, everyone hated on Nikita, so Nikita has done something, or he has convinced X to do something. I don't know how his power structure works. However, they basically, yesterday, they said, no more InfoFi. So Kaito, all of these like places that pay people to tweet, they say no more of this. And they started banning different of these groups and these protocols or these accounts that are linked to these kind of things. So this guy whale.mocha, he said, he wrote an article. I've got like 3 tweets on this, so I'm going to go really quick through this. So he's got an article that says InfoFi is dead, what should you do now? You can read through this. Is like adapt or die, and what Kaito did, cookie, and so forth, and reach, all these different things. So you can read through his article. It's pretty long, but I kind of like this. I will admit I farmed. I got a Kaito airdrop in the form of participating in the Sonic campaigns. So I got Sonic tokens. I never got any Kaito tokens from any of it. I never, I probably signed up for Cookie. I signed up for some other these InfoFi because I was already tweeting. But the thing I did not do is go to the campaigns and then just see who's paying and start tweeting about them. I did not do this, but we saw this go like rampant, like crazy. And basically, because they were paying people to tweet about stuff, then you started getting automated bots just farming the crap out of it. And, I get massive amounts of tweets or DMs from people saying, hey, can we follow each other? And I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to follow you unless you're producing stuff that I like, right? Why would I do that, right? But they're like, you have lots of smart followers. Can you follow me? Or, maybe he has more smart followers than me. But unless he's producing content I want to read, then I don't want to do that. And I did do a tweet a little while ago about AI slop. There's different kinds of AI slop, and it's really hard for you to distinguish like AI replies from human replies now. They're quite good at this. They're quite good at hiding it and making it look natural and stuff. Now you can kind of think about things like how fast do they reply, or sometimes there's like formats like they paraphrase what you said and then ask you some question, and then that kind of looks like AI slop, right? And then there was kind of like this whole like ethos thing where it was like, let's try to evaluate people. But I saw that was kind of taken over by like AI and bots and little cabals of like groups of people who kind of just farm the crap out of it. And the people who I respect are not even participating in this like ethos thing. And so it was a big problem. So like I agree with what they've done. What X has done is let's just ban people who are paying other people to tweet. And now I've never been monetized on X by X. It's really hard to get that. You have to be super viral in order to get that monetization. However, I like what they're doing here. Like, let's just stop the source of the problem instead of like trying to like stop the bots or find the bots and ban the bots. Let's just make it so the bots don't make any money. And then the bots will just turn themselves off because there's no chance to farm any money. So this is Whale Maka's article. You can read through it if you like, but let's move on and talk a little bit more about other things. So here's another article from another person talking about the same thing: how to survive in crypto when yapping stops paying. So yeah, you know how I've got a really quick answer. You can read through his article and see what all this says. But how to survive in crypto when yapping stops paying? Easy. Two things you can do. One, get a job, okay? Have an income, and then in your spare time, use crypto. When any money you put into crypto, use the protocols, okay? Don't just farm airdrops and farm, Kaido points and yaps and stuff like that. Actually, do some research on a product you like, put your assets into that product, farm the APY, and grow your portfolio. That's what you should be doing in crypto, not just trying to get paid to produce tweets, right? I've been doing this for many years now, and I don't get paid to produce my snack sandwich videos. I'm not asking people to pay me to make tweet threads. This current show, I've been asking people to sponsor it. I don't have any sponsors right now, though, but I'm very close to gathering some. And anyways, so like if you want to survive in crypto, I would say use crypto. Stop gambling on meme coins. Stop losing all your money on perps. You do that with extra money that you don't mind losing, if that's what you want to do for fun and you want to you have that risk appetite. But use things that are safer and more blue chip and build your portfolio. But don't quit your job unless you have enough assets, enough APR assets to sustain yourself. That's how you survive in crypto when the yapping stops paying. Moving on, we do have one more. So Lagaris, same topic, Kaito team. So this is what he says. I'm just going to read exactly what he wrote here. The Kaito team deposited 5 million tokens to Binance before InfoFi News and sold them. Did they do a buyback for holders? No. So there you go. I don't know if the truth of this. You can do more due diligence in this. I never held Kaito tokens. I didn't get any Kaito tokens airdropped. I didn't buy any Kaito tokens. I've never held them, so I don't care. But I do think it's news. The Kaito team saw it coming. Maybe they were banned and then they immediately did this. And then the news came out, right? Maybe that happened. I don't know. Maybe they got some letter saying that we were going to do this today. And as a result, what they did was they sent 5 million of their tokens to Binance and dumped it all over Binance. Yeah. Well, the project is getting killed by X. So there is a question there. Should the devs cash out on this? Obviously, this is kind of insider trading. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it was a reaction to their account being blocked, and that's not insider trading per se, but kind of is, right? So yeah, I don't know. So take care. Think about the stuff you invest in. Be careful about overexposing yourself to individual projects that are dependent on other centralized services to stay alive. Okay, moving on. We have Newell. Newell this is very interesting. So FXUSD. FXUSD is a stable coin. I don't have a video on FXUSD, and I keep telling myself to do it, and I just haven't done it. Okay. However, FXUSD is a stable coin on mainnet. You can mint it versus a whole bunch of different assets. It's interest free, and you can also use FX protocol to trade with leverage inside the protocol. However, what has happened here, which is very interesting, is FXUSD is now usable in Railgun project. Now I have the Railgun project video. You can watch it. It's a privacy thing, and it's a privacy system that allows you to grant access to your privacy to individuals. So it allows you to, for example, you could grant access to the government to see your privacy transactions to prove that you own this wallet and this wallet. However, it will obfuscate your wallets from wrench wielding thieves, right? So check out Railgun for sure. I have a small bag of Railgun tokens, and they've been staked for years. And I've always believed in this project. I have not sent money through it. I should probably consider that sometimes. However, you can check out Railgun, but I find it really nice that now FXUSD is something that you can use on Railgun for free. Okay, so you can send FX through Railgun, get obfuscated, get privacy features on your holdings, and then and it's free and it's on Ethereum. So check it out. Okay. Next we have a tweet by Summerfi. This is not I'm not going to read this whole tweet, but it basically I might have mentioned this. They're doing their TGE, or basically they're making their token tradable. Okay, and it's going to happen on January 21st, which is not very far away. That's 5 days from now, and it's on Aerodrome. So yeah, check it out. I'm biased as crap on this one, so yeah, so you can check it out. I'm not telling you to buy this token, but there are some options coming there. I would highly suggest you farm this token, and I do have a reference link for you if you want to farm this token. If you are a staker of this token, if you've locked some summer tokens, and you can delegate to me if you wish to. Moving on, this is pretty interesting. I don't really talk too much about Solana, and I kind of don't really like Pump Fund, but let's read through these two tweets here. So it says, so much more coming for the mobile app in the coming weeks and months. It will be a major focus of us moving forward. I guess this Alon is co-founder of Pump Fund. To test this feature, it would be calling 14K market cap coin later today. Noti is on. I will be calling a 14K market cap coin. I don't know what that means. I will be calling a coin. Maybe that means he'll be shilling one, right? Trying to pump it. Callouts are here. Call a coin once every 6 hours. Alerts all your followers via push notifications. Level up global caller leaderboard. So yeah. So Pump.fun is a launchpad protocol where you can launch a meaningless meme coin, if you don't know. So you launch these meaningless meme coins on Pump, and now they're allowing you to automatically shill whatever coin you want every 6 hours. So fantastic for the people who love this kind of game. Let's move on. Okay, the last one I want to talk about, this is very interesting. Okay, so a little while ago, before I started the podcast, they built a bridge from Solana to Base. They're like, or from Base to Solana. I can't quite remember. I think it was from Base to Solana. So they allowed for all tokens to increase their exposure from only the Base ecosystem to now also Solana. And there was a lot of FUD, like, why didn't you build it the other way? And they're like, well, we don't want to. Like, you can build that, Solana. Anyway, so let's move on. So it says Zora, which is a token, a creator token on Base, is now listed on Solana. And there's the contract address and the tagging of the different assets. I like this. It's kind of like, if you think of it this way, it's like Russia and America, right? And now it's like Russia's like found a way to sell Russian cars in America, or the opposite. If you want to say Base is America and Solana is Russia, then America has found a way to sell American cars in Russia, and Russia can't do anything about it. But they're happy because now there's transactions, there's business happening inside Russia, even though it's American cars. So it's good for Russia's economy, but it's bad for Russia's manufacturing of cars, right? So I like this kind of like, it's just like a passive aggressive fight between Base and Solana. And I think it's interesting and enjoyable to watch. And it's probably something that warrants what I talked about earlier with Millie, with the museum, right? This whole like Base and Solana like rivalry. Okay. So that's it today. I hope this has been interesting and useful, and thank you for listening, and goodbye.